The soft hum of piano music drifted across the candlelit restaurant, mingling with the gentle clinking of wine glasses. Leo sat quietly at a corner table, his posture straight yet calm, the dim golden light tracing the edges of his features. Across from him, Jessica shifted in her chair, her crimson dress glittering under the chandelier. She stared at him with an expression that carried both impatience and finality. "Leo," she began, her tone clipped, "we've been together for 3 years, but you're still ordinary. No ambition, no real future. I can't waste more time waiting for you to become someone you're not." The words struck like a blade, but Leo only tightened his grip on the water glass, refusing to show a reaction. Jessica didn't stop there. She glanced over her shoulder and raised a hand. From the main entrance, a tall young man strode confidently toward their table, Caden, a fresh-faced intern in a tailored blazer. His smile was effortless, the kind that carried both charm and a hint of arrogance. "This is Caden," Jessica announced, lacing her fingers with his in full view of Leo. "He has dreams, plans to start his own company, and he knows what he wants in life. I can't ignore that." The restaurant fell into a tense hush, even the waiter paused mid-step. Leo set his glass down gently and gave a faint, almost polite smile. There was no pleading in his eyes, no anger, just a quiet dignity as he rose from his chair. "If that's your choice," he said softly, "then I wish you happiness." Without another word, Leo left the table, his measured steps echoing against the marble floor, leaving Jessica with Caden amid the stunned silence of the elegant dining hall. Leo's calm expression never faltered as he stepped out of the restaurant, ignoring the curious stares that followed him. The night air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of rain. He slipped a hand into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and called for his car. Moments later, the low growl of an engine rolled across the entrance. Heads turned as a sleek midnight blue Aston Martin DBS glided to a stop beneath the glowing awning. Its polished surface reflected the restaurant's golden lights, a stark contrast to Leo's earlier humble appearance. The valet rushed forward to open the door, bowing slightly in deference. Before anyone could utter a word, a woman stepped out of the passenger side. She was breathtaking, tall and poised in an ivory silk dress that shimmered like moonlight, a delicate diamond pendant resting at her collarbone. Her dark waves framed a face that was both elegant and warm. The guests nearest the door exchanged whispers of admiration. "Leo," she greeted with a soft smile that felt effortless yet commanding. "You left me waiting in the car." The shift in the atmosphere was immediate. Jessica's confident smirk faltered as she rose slightly from her chair to get a better look. Chloe, with the grace of someone used to high society, stepped inside, her heels clicking gently against the marble floor. "I'm Chloe Vance," she announced, her voice smooth but carrying authority. "Leo's girlfriend." Jessica blinked, momentarily speechless. "Girlfriend?" Chloe's lips curved into a polite smile. "Didn't he tell you?" "Leo Vance, heir to Vance Holdings." Gasps rippled through the room. A few diners lowered their forks mid-bite, the waiter almost dropped a tray. Jessica's fingers trembled as she clutched her wine glass. Leo walked back to the table with the composure of someone who had nothing to prove. Reaching into his jacket, he pulled out a set of car keys attached to a sleek silver tag embossed with the Porsche emblem. "I was going to give you this for your birthday," he said evenly, placing the Porsche 911 key fob on the table. "But I suppose it's no longer necessary." The silence was deafening. Even Caden shifted uncomfortably beside Jessica. Leo gave a faint nod to Chloe, who slipped her arm through his. Together, they turned toward the door, leaving Jessica pale and speechless, surrounded by murmurs of shock that swept across the elegant dining room. The cool night breeze brushed against Leo's face as he and Chloe stepped out of the restaurant, the soft hum of the Aston Martin's engine filling the quiet. Chloe held herself together until they were a few steps away from the entrance. Then, with a mischievous glint in her eyes, she burst into a fit of laughter that echoed lightly across the parking lot. "I can't believe you kept a straight face through all of that," she teased, brushing a strand of hair away from her cheek. The look on Jessica's face, priceless. Leo allowed himself a small smile, though his eyes carried a touch of weariness. "You didn't do too badly either. That whole girlfriend act was convincing." Chloe tilted her head, still grinning. "Please, don't flatter me. I was just doing my job as your dear cousin. You owe me dinner for this performance." Leo chuckled under his breath, shaking his head. "Cousin or not, you're a natural actress. But I suppose the drama was worth it." They reached the car, and Chloe leaned casually against the door, her playful expression softening as she studied him. "So, are you finally done hiding who you really are?" For a moment, Leo looked past her toward the glittering skyline, his jaw tightening slightly. "I think I've had enough of living like someone else. Tonight reminded me why I walked away from the company in the first place, but also why I need to go back. If people are going to judge me, I'd rather they judge the real me." Chloe's teasing smile shifted into something gentler, almost proud. "That's the Leo the first, remember, stubborn, but true to himself. Uncle Robert will be thrilled to hear you're coming home." Leo exhaled slowly, as if releasing the weight he had carried for years. "It's time I stopped pretending I'm just another employee with no future. I've spent too long running from the responsibility that comes with being a Vance." Chloe slipped into the passenger seat, her tone light once more. "Well, it's about time. The Empire could use a little shaking up, and I'm sure you'll keep everyone on their toes." As Leo started the car and drove off into the shimmering city night, he felt a strange sense of calm settle over him. For the first time in years, he was ready to face his destiny, not as the man Jessica once dismissed, but as Leo Vance, heir to Vance Holdings. The following Monday morning, the glass tower of Vance Holdings shimmered in the sunlight like a monument of power and prestige. A line of employees moved briskly through the revolving doors, their chatter halting when a sleek black Bentley rolled up to the entrance. Leo stepped out, his presence instantly commanding attention. Gone was the quietly dressed marketing employee they once knew. Now he stood tall in a tailored Tom Ford charcoal suit, his wrist glinting with a Patek Philippe watch. The security guard straightened instinctively as he passed, and even the receptionist struggled to keep her composure. In the executive lobby, whispers trailed behind him. "Is that Leo from the marketing department?" one young associate murmured. "No way. That's the chairman's son," another replied in disbelief. Leo ignored the hushed comments and made his way to the private elevator that led to the top floor. When the doors opened, he was greeted by the warm yet slightly astonished smile of Robert Vance, his father and the legendary chairman of the Empire. "Son," Robert said, stepping forward with open arms, "I can't tell you how proud I am that you've decided to come back." Leo shook his father's hand firmly, the corners of his lips lifting in a respectful smile. "I'm ready to take my place and contribute to the company's future." Robert nodded approvingly, his eyes gleaming with relief. "Then it's settled. I'm appointing you as Vice President of Strategic Development. I've been waiting for you to accept this responsibility." That afternoon, Robert formally introduced Leo to the boardroom packed with executives. A wave of polite applause followed, but not everyone's expression was welcoming. Some of the older directors exchanged skeptical glances, a few younger managers whispered among themselves, another privileged heir trying to play businessman, one muttered under his breath. Leo heard the tone but chose not to respond. Instead, he offered a brief, confident speech about his vision for growth and innovation at Vance Holdings. His calm delivery and sharp insights caught more than a few by surprise, though doubt still lingered in some corners of the room. As the meeting concluded, Leo left the boardroom with steady steps, aware that earning genuine respect would be his first real battle. But beneath the surface of murmurs and doubt, There was a spark of curiosity, an unspoken question of whether this heir could truly rise above his title and prove himself worthy of the empire he had returned to claim. Leo's first official act as vice president was to revisit the very floor where he had once toiled in obscurity, the marketing department. As he stepped out of the executive elevator, the buzz of conversation faded into uneasy silence. Employees looked up from their desks, some startled, others trying to mask their curiosity. Mark Reynolds, the department's longtime director, emerged from his glass-walled office with a forced smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Vice President Vance," he said with exaggerated politeness, "to what do we owe the honor?" Leo's calm gaze swept across the room before settling on Mark. "I came to thank the team for their past work, and to clear the air about some unresolved issues." A murmur rippled through the staff. Mark's smirk stiffened, but he gestured toward his office. "Of course. We can discuss privately." Inside, the door closed with a soft click. Leo remained standing, his tone firm but measured. "I've reviewed the reports from the last 2 fiscal quarters. Several campaigns were credited to you personally, yet the original proposals were submitted by junior staff. Care to explain?" Mark shifted uncomfortably, but his arrogance resurfaced quickly. "As director, I have the right to finalize and present ideas on behalf of the team. That's not misconduct." Leo's expression didn't change. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a folder. "Perhaps not, until we add these," he said, laying out photocopies of bank statements and email correspondence. "Evidence of over $200,000 in unreported consulting fees deposited into your private account, directly linked to a competitor's firm." Mark's face drained of color. "This is absurd, you can't prove." "Already done," Leo interrupted coolly. "The board has reviewed it. Legal will take it from here." Moments later, 2 compliance officers entered the office. Mark's protests echoed through the hall as they escorted him out, leaving the department stunned. Leo turned to address the gathered employees. "This department deserves leadership that values integrity and creativity. Effective immediately, Chris Bennett will serve as acting director. His dedication and honesty speak for themselves." Chris, a modest but talented strategist who had often been overshadowed, stepped forward, visibly moved. "Thank you, sir. I'll do my best not to let the team down." Leo offered him a reassuring nod. "Focus on your work. Let the results speak." As Leo left the department, the tension slowly eased, replaced by a sense of hope. For the first time in years, the marketing floor felt like a place where talent, not favoritism, would finally be recognized. The next morning, Leo found Chloe in the executive lounge, sipping her coffee while scrolling through her tablet. She looked every bit the picture of effortless style, dressed in a tailored cream blazer over a silk blouse. "Chloe," Leo began, his tone light but purposeful, "I need someone I can trust, someone who's not afraid to challenge me. How would you feel about becoming my special assistant?" Chloe raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. "Your assistant? That sounds suspiciously like a demotion. I thought you wanted me as your partner in crime, not just your coffee fetcher." Leo smirked. "You'd have more authority than that. I need your creativity and your fresh perspective to shake this place up. The company's been stuck in its ways for too long." She tapped her chin, pretending to ponder. I'll consider it, but only if I get one condition." Leo folded his arms. "Which is?" Her lips curled into a mischievous grin. "I still get to call you a fool whenever you deserve it. Old habits die hard." A genuine laugh escaped Leo. "Fine. As long as you remember you're saying that to the vice president." Deal, she said, extending her hand with a playful spark in her eyes. From that moment, Chloe became a regular presence at Leo's side, offering unconventional ideas during meetings, questioning outdated strategies, and pushing him to think outside the corporate box. Though their banter often drew curious glances from colleagues, Leo appreciated her honesty and boldness. Together, they began to breathe new energy into the halls of Vance Holdings, setting the stage for the company's next era of innovation. The boardroom of Vance Holdings was unusually tense that morning. A massive digital screen glowed at the front, displaying bold figures and sleek diagrams of Leo's proposed smart retail and integrated logistics network, a multi-billion-dollar project designed to revolutionize the company's distribution and customer experience. Leo stood tall beside the screen, exuding calm confidence in a navy suit. This initiative, he began, gesturing toward the charts, will connect our retail branches with a real-time AI logistics grid, cutting delivery costs by 35% and reducing waste across the supply chain. Our pilot program in 3 cities already shows a 42% growth in sales within 2 quarters. A few directors nodded in appreciation, but one man remained visibly unimpressed, Howard Croft, a senior board member with decades of influence in the company. He leaned forward, his silver-rimmed glasses catching the light as his voice cut through the room. "This is reckless," Howard said, his tone sharp. "Billions of dollars on untested technology? We risk destabilizing our core business chasing your futuristic fantasies." Leo met Howard's glare without flinching. "With respect, Mr. Croft, the market is changing whether we like it or not. Competitors are already exploring similar systems. Staying still is the greater risk." Howard scoffed. "Your so-called pilot success means nothing. What happens when this collapses on a national scale? We'll be a laughingstock." Leo tapped his tablet, switching the display to reveal a signed preliminary partnership agreement with Amazon's logistics division. The room fell silent as he continued, "We're not alone in this. Amazon has agreed in principle to collaborate on infrastructure and resource sharing. Our risk is mitigated." A ripple of surprise and intrigue spread across the table. Even those who had been skeptical moments earlier leaned forward with interest. For the next hour, the 2 men sparred, Howard relying on his reputation and caution, Leo countering with data, projections, and strategic foresight. By the end of the debate, a vote was cast. The majority sided with Leo, approving the initial phase of the project. Howard's jaw tightened as he gathered his papers. "Enjoy your victory, Leo. But innovation can be a dangerous game." Leo remained composed, replying evenly, "Progress always comes with challenges. I welcome them." As the meeting adjourned, Chloe caught Leo's eye, offering a discreet thumbs up. Yet Leo knew Howard's fight wasn't over. Behind the older man's polite nods lurked the promise of resistance, a storm he would have to face sooner rather than later. It was late in the evening when Leo stepped out of the glass doors of Vance Holdings, the city skyline glowing with 1,000 lights. As he headed toward his car, a familiar voice called out from the shadows of the parking lot, "Leo, wait." He turned to find Jessica, her once polished appearance replaced by a weary, almost fragile look. The confidence that had defined her the night they broke up was gone. Her designer dress seemed out of place against her tired eyes. "Jessica," Leo said evenly, his voice neither warm nor cold. "What brings you here?" She hesitated, twisting the strap of her purse. "I made a mistake," she admitted, her tone trembling. "Caden's company was sued. He's bankrupt, facing charges. I thought I was choosing a better future, but," her words faltered as her eyes shimmered with regret. "I was wrong. I should have stayed with you." Leo's expression remained calm, his gaze steady but distant. "You didn't make a mistake, Jessica. You made a choice. I respected it then, and I respect it now. Please, Leo, she pleaded, stepping closer. We had something real once. Can't we try again? Leo shook his head slightly. I don't turn back to the past. That chapter is closed. And just to be clear, Chloe is only my cousin. But that doesn't change anything between us. Jessica's shoulders sagged as tears welled up, her composure slipping further. For a moment, the only sound was the distant hum of traffic. Without another word, Leo opened his car door and stepped inside. The engine purred to life, and he drove away, leaving Jessica standing alone beneath the harsh glow of the parking lot lights, an echo of what once was, now firmly behind them both. The Starlight Charity Gala was the most anticipated event of the season, held beneath the glittering chandeliers of the Grand Orion Hotel's ballroom. Soft jazz floated in the air as guests in tailored tuxedos and sparkling gowns mingled beneath a cascade of crystal lights. Leo arrived with Chloe by his side, her emerald silk evening dress shimmering under the warm glow of the chandeliers. Her elegance drew admiring glances from onlookers, but it was Leo's poised presence that commanded respect as they entered the room. Across the hall, Howard Croft was deep in conversation with a cluster of influential donors. When he noticed Leo and Chloe, a subtle, knowing smile curved across his lips. Moments later, he approached them with someone on his arm, Jessica, dressed in a sapphire gown, her beauty striking yet edged with unease. Leo, Howard greeted smoothly, allow me to introduce my niece, Jessica Croft. I trust there are no hard feelings between old friends. Leo's expression remained composed, betraying no sign of the surprise he felt at Jessica's new introduction. Of course not, he replied evenly. Chloe gave Howard a polite but cool nod, sensing the older man's hidden agenda. The evening soon shifted to the highlight of the gala, the charity auction. Howard clearly intended to dominate the bidding, raising his paddle with calculated confidence. But each time he tried to secure an item, Leo's calm voice would counter with a higher bid. 200,000, Howard called for an antique painting. 250, Leo responded without hesitation. This silent duel continued through several items, drawing amused murmurs from the crowd. The final piece of the night, a diamond necklace valued at $500,000, sparked the fiercest competition yet. Howard smirked as he offered $450,000. Before the auctioneer could even count down, Leo raised his paddle. 500,000. A brief hush fell over the ballroom before applause erupted. Leo stepped forward as the necklace was presented to him, but instead of keeping it, he addressed the crowd. This necklace deserves to honor someone who's given more than any of us tonight, he said warmly, presenting it to an elderly professor known for decades of charitable work in education. The gesture brought the room to its feet, winning thunderous applause and glowing praise from the press. Howard's smile stiffened as cameras flashed around Leo and the professor, realizing that, once again, Leo had turned the spotlight, and the public's admiration, in his favor. The Monday morning sun filtered through the glass walls of Vance Holdings' executive boardroom, but the air inside was thick with tension. A special emergency meeting had been called at Howard Croft's request. The long mahogany table gleamed beneath the overhead lights as board members murmured in anticipation of a heated confrontation. Howard, seated at the head of the table, wore a steely expression. Mr. Vance, he began, voice clipped, your lavish spending at the Starlight Gala may have impressed the media, but it has raised serious questions about whether you misused company funds for personal glory. A ripple of murmurs spread across the room. Cameras from the corporate communications team discreetly recorded the proceedings for transparency. Leo remained composed, hands folded neatly before him. If we're questioning fiscal responsibility, he replied calmly, I brought every document to clarify. At his signal, Chloe distributed neatly bound reports to each board member. These records show, Leo continued, that every dollar I bid at the gala was from my personal account. Not a cent of the company's money was spent. Furthermore, the brand recognition generated by the event boosted Vance Holdings stock by 12% in just 48 hours. Slides appeared on the large screen, showing charts of rising stock prices and social media metrics highlighting the company's philanthropic image, and, Leo added, his voice firm yet measured, this positive momentum was pivotal in securing the City Council's approval for the urban redevelopment project, the very plan Mr. Croft has championed for years. Our public goodwill turned the tide. The room fell silent as the significance of his words sank in. One director leaned forward, nodding appreciatively. "This is a win for everyone, Howard," she said gently. Howard's jaw tightened, but he could offer no rebuttal. The facts spoke for themselves. Another board member broke the silence. "Leo's strategy not only protected our reputation but amplified it. I propose we continue supporting his leadership for all ongoing projects." A unanimous show of hands followed. Howard's face darkened, realizing his attempt to discredit Leo had backfired. Leo gave a polite nod. "We're all here to serve the company's best interests. Let's move forward, together." As the meeting adjourned, Chloe met Leo's gaze with a quiet, admiring smile. In one decisive meeting, he had turned Howard's attack into a resounding victory, further cementing his place as the driving force behind Vance Holdings' future.